Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Dylan Bowman before the 2021 Hardrock 100. How are you, Dylan?
So good, man.
You seem so good.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. Just arrived in town, and on top of the world.
First things first, have you recovered from Western States coverage yet?
Dude, honestly, that was one of the most amazing, rewarding experiences of my entire career, but also completely exhausting.
Yep.
And it did take days to recover from it. So now I know what you guys go through every race.
There you go. Yeah.
Renewed respect.
But you are feeling like you're
well, I mean, it was so inspiring, man. It was just so incredible to have the front row seat the whole day and to be able to kind of share my enthusiasm with the world. And the race was incredible. So
totally.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago now, I guess. And
it sure doesn't seem like for me.
I've recovered from the commentary, and now I get to do it myself.
Perfect. Well, here you are in Silverton. How long have you wanted to run the Hardrock 100?
So my first time here was in 2011. So this is my 10-year anniversary, but even before that, as I was getting into the sport in 2008, 2009, of course, it's one of the first races you hear about.
Mm-hmm.
As a Colorado boy, it's always been at the top of the list. 2011 was incredible. I paced Joe Grant the last 30 miles in this direction. So from Telluride to the finish, and he was having a complete vision quest, suffer fest. So I got to have a front row seat to that. And I've been back several times since. I've been in the lottery many, many times. Finally got pulled in December of 18. And, I've been looking at my watch ever since.
Got to marinate ever since then, yeah. So why do you want to run Hardrock? What is special about this? Having been here a couple times, thought about it for a decade.
I mean, as a fan of the sport, a fan of the history of the sport, of course, it's one of those races that if you love the sport, if you love the practice, you have to want to do it. And of course, like I said, my roots are here in Colorado, and arriving back in my home state just a few days ago, it was one of those feelings where you're just like, I don't know, just on a biological level, I could just feel, that my body recognized that I was back. It's probably what you feel like going back to Philly or whatever.
Oh, yeah, those little reminders, whether it's at the convenience store or whatever, like this is your spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, feel really good about it, and just really happy to be here finally with the opportunity to do it. And being 10 years ago that I paced it and was here for the first time, it's kind of a fun sort of anniversary or benchmark.
Does it kind of feel like a family at all? Like a family reunion for you?
Totally. I mean, I've been at the race probably 5 or 6 times in my career. I've paced it, crewed it, spectated it. Of course, when I'm not here, I'm following you guys the whole time for 48 hours. And so I have experienced this sort of Hardrock family that everybody talks about. And so now finally to be able to be on the start line and experience it from that side of things, I just can't freaking wait.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to wait very long.
Yeah.
And you, I assume, have been putting in some pretty solid training. What does that look like for you this past couple months?
To be honest, I feel really good about my preparation, but I didn't do anything crazy, didn't do anything heroic. I set it up in a way where at other races in my career, I've sort of set up a similar preparation in that I did the Backbone Trail back in May. I think it was probably 9 or 10 weeks ago now. That was a 10-hour effort, and that was very much to just rev the engine again. I haven't raced since Trans-Gran Canaria 2020, so it's been 18 months. So that was very much like the, hit the gas pedal, see where you're at type thing. I went really deep. It hurt a lot, and so I was a little worried that Hardrock was going to be painful. But after recovering and getting back to training, we went up to Mammoth and just sort of marched around in the mountains.
Yeah, how long did you spend up there?
Total of 6 weeks. But I really only did 2.5 bigger weeks of training, and for me, that's always I don't know, I just feel energized. I feel fit. I feel acclimatized, but also I have so much energy.
Yeah.
And I feel very well rested. And actually, I've been doing a lot of deep dives into the history and race reports and podcasts and I Run Far interviews. And like I've come across interviews with Schlarb, Hal Kerner, Adam Campbell, who've all said like they arrived just feeling rested, like really rested, which is exactly how I feel, and it worked out for them, and I sort of inadvertently did that, so it gave me a little bit more confidence.
And it can be really hard, I think, with a race that you've been wanting to do for a decade. You got in almost 3 years ago. Like you could overcook yourself very easily.
Yeah, so I was able to resist the temptation in Mammoth. I still did get out for a handful of huge days, between 6 and 12-hour days.
And a couple in sequence as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the other thing too that I think really set me up. I did a 3-day sort of massive training block, and that was right before Western States. So 3 weeks ago now, and basically ever since then, it's been pretty moderate. I've basically done almost nothing for the last, handful of days, except I did go up Virginia's from Telluride. And when I walked up there, just felt good at altitude, felt the energy, felt good about being back in Colorado. And I was just like, all right, I'm done.
So for the big 3 days, what's the effort like? Or what's the intention when you're going out there? Is it just to have 3 8 to 10 hour days? Or is it, one of the days or all the days that you're pushing it? What does it look like?
No, yeah, it's very just like endurance pace, time on feet type stuff. But of course, like Harmony has to come pick me up at different places, and I don't want to be out there, a ridiculous amount of time. So, but it was all low intensity, hiking, trying to simulate what race pace is going to be like out here.
Speaking of race pace, again, you anticipated you could have overdone it in training. How are you going to sort of restrain yourself early in the race?
Well, I mean, everybody says that, of course, like Hardrock is such a hard race, and you have to be conservative. And I think the other positive thing about being at Western States and watching that race is seeing the people who probably were a little bit too aggressive really pay for it. And here being a race that's going to be, at least 9-10 hours longer than what I would expect to run at Western States, I'm very much going to be trying to remain calm and subdued in the early out, really the whole race. But
do you have any tricks to do that, or do you anything to reinforce? Like you said, like with the training, you could look back at the Schlarb or the Campbell or the Hal Kerner videos. Do you have any mantras or just touch points that you can go to on that?
I think just, I'm an experienced runner, and I've executed races perfectly, and I've also gone out too hard and really paid for it. And so because I'm so happy and excited to be here, I really just want to take advantage of my opportunity. And I feel like being aggressive, being competitive, is not going to help me. And also, as a fan of the sport and somebody who knows the culture around Hardrock, like that's not the spirit either, So like I want to be out there and enjoying it, and really like one of the things also that Hal said on Iron Far in his old race report from 2012 victory was that he was just like focused every mile, So I just really want to be engaged, taking sort of feedback from my body, enjoying it as much as I can, and then hopefully, like I want to run fast, so we'll see. Yeah.
So you've done a lot of big mountain hundreds around the world, Trans-Gran Canaria, Mount Fuji, UTMB. How do you think this will compare?
To be honest, I mean, I know it's going to be longer, harder, higher altitude, just slower. So, and one of the things that I'm sort of kicking myself about is that I didn't come out and do a soft rock last year. I really feel like I should have. So when I paced here in 2011, I have very few memories of what the course was like.
Totally.
So outside of just doing Virginia's Pass, which I did with Mike Foote in 2015, and also just this past week, I really don't know anything about the course.
Now, do you think there's any advantage of that freshness or just joy of exploring that could be found out there on the course?
I think definitely. So, that's what I'm telling myself for sure, because I've been feeling like, well, man, I wish I had at least some course knowledge. And I've reached out to people who've run the race, and, they've been generous with information. So,
I don't tend to ask about pacers or whatnot beforehand, but this is your debut here, and you say you don't know the course particularly well. Who's running by your side late in the race to keep you, maybe guide you back on the tracks gently?
So speaking of being intelligent and racing within yourself and being measured, Tyler Green from Portland, Oregon, the second place finisher at Western States, who ran an absolutely textbook race, is going to take me Telluride to the finish. So he'll do the final leg. Topher Gaylord is going to take me over Virginia's Pass from Ouray to Telluride. And then I don't have anybody from Grouse to Ouray. So I'll probably do that section solo.
But that should be daytime. I mean,
daytime. Yeah, I totally feel comfortable doing that section solo. I do feel comfortable doing the whole thing solo, but really looking forward to spending time with both Topher and Tyler, who are great friends and people who are also experienced and great runners. So
nice. Yeah. Just one more thing. I mean, over the past couple years, like I'm currently doing, and that's with Pillars.
Yep.
Has it been? And you're now also doing like the podcast, and you're doing, the Western States coverage. How do you balance working in the sport with also being a participant?
I mean, for me, it's easy. I don't have to be, a journalist or anything like that. Like, I'm a fan. I'm truly a fan, and it's the things that I'm doing are things that I would want to listen to or watch or whatever. And as I get older and think about how I want to have an impact on the sport and be connected with the community and whatnot, it's been really fun to sort of explore these different avenues, be a little bit more creative. And I mean, like, I still have the ambitions to train and compete at a high level, and I feel like that's still going to be the case for a while. But I am thinking a little bit more longer term now, and just like I said, thinking about different ways that I can contribute, and I've just been having a ball messing around with that stuff.
You can
recently.
tell. Yeah. I hope you have as much of a ball running the Hardrock 100 this coming week.
Thanks, buddy.